Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah. So have you ever thought about using cover crops and how you can use cover crops in a no-dig garden? Now the traditional way of using cover crops has been to plant the cover crops, and then once the cover crops are established and you're ready to cut them down, what they do is they cut them down and they dig them into the soil. And with that method you end up losing a lot of nutrients, and it doesn't have the effect because once you start that tilling process you uncover the soil again, so that you've lost the effect, or you've lost some of the effect of having the cover crops in the first place. Now in this video what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you how to use cover crops in a no-dig garden. So what I've got here is the cover crops that I planted in my cover crop growing video. If you haven't seen that, go and check it out, and I'll show you how I planted these seeds and when I planted them back in November and the types of cover crops that I used. Now I've got a mix of clover in here, I've got a mix of, the rye didn't come up, but I've got some broad beans in here, and there's some mustard in here as well. Now I'm probably about 2 months away from planting into this video. Now what traditionally people would have done is started cutting this down and digging this into the soil, but we use no dig here. So what am I going to do? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start cutting these down. I'm just going to take a pair of shears and we're just going to chop them down to the ground. Including the broad beans, everything on this bed. It was grown as a cover crop, so it was grown as a green manure. So that's what we're going to use it for. So give that all a good chop, get it all chopped down. Make sure everything's chopped down, even these ones that are bent over. See, you can do this, you don't need you could use a trimmer if you wanted to, but I don't think you need to. You can do this manually, get a bit of exercise, and you'll have the same effect. If you use a trimmer, it'd probably smash this up into a lot smaller pieces. So now if I wanted to, I could just leave that on top of the bed, and that'd just be the old chop and drop method. But I'm going to go one step further. Now I've got my green manure down, I've chopped it, I've dropped it. If I wanted to I could leave it just like that and it'll rot down, but you'll lose a lot of the nutrients through erosion and through the winter weather, the rains and the snows that are going to come down, and it'll wash some of that away. So rather than lose that, I want to capture as much of the nutrients from these cover crops into this soil as I can. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to start mulching this, and I'm going to cover it with cardboard. As much cardboard as is needed. So I'm just going to get as much cardboard as I can down on top of it. I've got loads of wet cardboard that's rotting down anyway, that's been used for, it's been thrown out in the garden and it's all rotting down. So we'll just take that, get that on and get it covered as much as we can. And not to worry if it's not perfect, because the way we're going to do this is we're going to get some more mulch on top of this, so it's fine, as much, even if we leave a few gaps. Ideally we'd want it all covered and another layer on top of this. So that's my sheet mulch down, and now I'm not going to leave it there. What I'm going to do is, as you've seen me in my no dig trench composting video, if you haven't seen my no-dig trench composting video, go and have a look at that and you can anticipate my next step. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to cover this all with semi-broken down compost. So I'm pretty much ready to plant in it in a matter of weeks. So what I've got here is a pile of semi-broken down wood chips. And now I'm just going to mulch this cardboard with the wood chips. And I'll leave a good thick layer of that. So when we're talking about not having to dig in, we've still achieved the same effect of burying the plants into the soil we're not attracting slugs as much because we've covered it now. See, what I've noticed about slugs and snails is that they tend to eat a lot of the stuff that's on the surface. They live in soil, or they live around soil, but they tend to eat a lot more on the surface rather than underneath. So it's just some compost. This is finished compost. Because of the microbes that are in the compost that I've just added, it'll help break the wood chips and add some of that soil microbiology to the soil that's here, to the cover crops that are breaking down, and to the compost the wood chips that are breaking down. So that's the reason that I add that. Now I've got a bed here that's almost ready to plant in. If I wanted to plant into this, then I wouldn't penetrate the cardboard, I'd plant into the mulch. I'm going to leave this a couple of months because I'm nowhere near ready planting into this. So I'll wait a couple of months, and then in a couple of months' time, I'll plant into this, and this will be a lovely soil. Now this is a great way of building soil without digging. We've used the cover crops, and we've used the cover crops in a way that we haven't left our soil uncovered. We've protected our soil over the winter. We're going to protect it over the coming months, and we're going to protect it into the growing season. So at no point at all have we left this soil uncovered. Now I think that bed's looking pretty good. We'll leave it like that for the next few months, and then in a couple of months' time, when we're ready to plant into this, it's going to be lovely, nutritious soil, perfect for planting. So I'm going to leave it there for this one. Like I say, if you haven't seen the video where I planted the cover crops, I'll leave a link to the video here. Go check it out. It's jammed packed full of information about cover crops, the type of cover crops, and how and when to use them. This is a follow-up video to that, so I'll leave it there for this one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.